Hello and welcome to Experienced Recovery Conversations. Now, I had the pleasure of talking to Sean Higgins from Active-tameside a couple of days ago, and Sean shared some fantastic work they're doing up there within a social care setting and within certainly a youth provision setting. And Dan, who happens to be Sean's son, actually does the do. So Sean suggested I talk to Dan, and I was absolutely happy to do so. So Dan, just give us a brief insight, who you are, what you do, and where you do it, please.
So I'm Dan Higgins, the Everybody Can manager at Active-tameside. I manage the Everybody Can programme on a day-to-day basis, which is a range of inclusion services for disabled and additional needs children and young people and adults. We work from the age of 3 throughout the life course, and our aims are basically to develop people holistically, ensuring them barriers are removed so people can thrive and achieve and live the best life. What's really good for us as well is we work with people from all walks of life, whether that's community interaction, social care, children's or adults, education and employment as well.
That's brilliant. And how did you get into this, Dan, apart from your dad sort of twisting your arm behind your back and trying to get you to go to work with him?
Well, actually, that was how I got into it pretty much. So obviously Sean started this programme about 12 years ago with an aim in eye grant with our partners at ISCAN, Children's Services. And when I was younger in school, I'd done my work placements at Active-tameside and then started volunteering on our disability camps and community sessions. It was something that I loved. And I always say, if you've ever worked with people with additional needs, you kind of would never go back, if you like, because it's so powerful, it's so engaging, and they teach you the ways of life, if you like, because they face that many complexities and they've got a smile on the face constantly, and it makes you kind of stay back and think, wow. But that's how I started. Obviously then in between I went to university and done my degree and my masters and come back, done some coaching in schools for Active-tameside, and then moved over to become the Everybody Can manager.
Excellent. And what was your degree and your master's in?
My degree was in sport development and my master's was in sports psychology.
Okay, interesting. And the reason I just, you probably don't know, but I'm a trustee of SIMSPA, and I'm really interested in the career pathways and the opportunities that people have to work in our sector. And this is one that I'm not sure is highlighted well enough. So I'm just keen to get a little bit of insight in there. So talk to us about the types of things then that you did before lockdown. What was the day like? What did you do?
What we did before lockdown, obviously, I mentioned how we encompass every part of life, and that's what we did in full flow before lockdown. So we had our special education groups, including provisions for our care for children. We delivered to 245 attendees a week on our adult day service provision. We had about 18 different people on our outreach target support for children who couldn't access part of a local offer and go to a generalised community session because they needed that additional support. We've done internships and employability programmes. We've done our youth intervention stuff, so not just the outreach stuff in terms of really addressing ASB. We also put free sessions on around the community, whether that within Active-tameside buildings or in school sites or community settings, for people to come and engage and take them off the streets and actually do something powerful.
So how do you measure your impact? How do you know all this effort and work that you're doing is making a difference? What sort of things happen as a result of the interventions that you and your team make into some of these communities?
So obviously in terms of some of the figures, our ASB rate went down in Droylsden, where we've done a pilot project, that reduced by 18% because of some of the activities that we was doing on a Friday night. Our partners at the council, we are governed by an outcomes framework. So there's specific targets and outcomes on there that they kind of want to see, and that's from their directorates in education, employment, children, adult social care. So obviously they form and shape that, because ultimately there's no point doing what we're doing without outcomes being produced. But in terms of on the ground and realising what effects and benefits you have, it's one, seeing returning customers, as it is in any line of business. Two, getting the positivity in terms of what they're saying to us. and most importantly, look at the outcomes of looking at them behaviours, reducing that behaviour change. So we've seen it with some clients who came into our service. So we've got one young man who, well, say young man, is nearly 27 now. he come in at 3-1, severely autistic, very low in terms of his ability to talk and function at age appropriate range. And he's now reduced into a group setting member, so he doesn't need that 3-1 around him. So we've increased that independence, increased that dependency on other things rather than just them 1 or 2 members of staff.
No, that's fantastic. And I've had the pleasure of doing some Quest assessments up in Tameside and seeing some of the work that you're doing. And the bit for me is how you're helping people get gainful employment. You really are giving people an opportunity that wouldn't normally get work to get work. And I know you've got some great stories about some of your participants that now work for you. Is there anybody in particular?
Yeah, I suppose I'm showing my age a little bit. Because as I started when I was like volunteering when I was 14, what's really, really nice from a selfish point of view is I've seen a lot of our adult clients now grow up with myself.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of them, 3 or 4, who started on our holiday and community provision, just attending on a weekly basis, whether that was trampolining, swimming, whatever it might have been. They progressed up through into their special schools, where we deal with PE as well on behalf of the special schools, stepped up into our adult day provision, and then went on to the supported internship, which we run in partnership with the council and Tameside College and the Tameside Hospital. And some of them are now holding down paid employment, which is magic, if you like. But what's more pleasing as well is we go on short break trips each year. Right. And they actually have the ability to pay for their own holiday, just as me and you would do, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and that for me, as much as an 18% reduction in antisocial behaviour on a Friday night will make the police commissioner smile, actually the story you've just told is a bigger smile, isn't it? Because the value that person can now add back into their society, their community, etc., for the rest of their lives is down to the interventions you've had in an early stage. It's just fantastic.
Thank you. I mean, I remember the day this girl in particular, she works in our centres and in one of the cafes, pot washing and cleaning. And her mum broke down and cried, happy tears, and just said, I didn't think she'd be able to work.
That's immense.
That's all you need to kind of give you some fulfilment.
Absolutely incredible. And of course, lockdown then came, and I suppose put pay to quite a lot of stuff that you do, and also I would imagine made it really difficult for a lot of your customers in how they reacted and responded to this. So what sort of things have you been trying to do in lockdown to improve interaction?
So when we initially locked down on, I think it was the 20th of March or the 23rd, it was around that weekend, we unfortunately had to kind of close services to all but a few. The few were highlighted by our partners and commissioners at the council through children and adult social care. So we only delivered to a marginal group, albeit in face-to-face, that is, albeit we did deliver virtually. So we've done a lot of home packs, whether that might have been quizzes, it might have been bits of arts and crafts, and then we'd show them a video of how to make that. But more so just so you can have eyes on as well, and that friendly face. But obviously that was socially distanced and with all the correct protocols in place. We've done an online virtual timetable for people to come and see the relatives. And we've done a lot of upskilling on ICT, obviously.
No, that's fantastic. It makes a real difference, doesn't it, when you can support those communities still? Because we were talking earlier before we started recording, and we were talking about the difficulty that some of your clients have in understanding a vague response to when lockdown will be over and things like that. So how are you dealing with those sort of additional needs?
It's very ambiguous, isn't it? It's just saying lockdown it'll be over soon, and it's actually you're working with disabled people and challenging complex people with autism as well, who that timeline needs to be quite clear. I mean, I've struggled myself. I'm pretty sure most people have struggled with the changes of the world in the last 12 months. So imagine having a severe additional need on top of that as well. It must be really tough for the person themselves and the families. We've done a lot of social stories to try and teach our people about what coronavirus is, how we will keep them safe. Obviously, we've had to reduce group sizes and put people into bubbles and groups. We've done a lot of the online stuff, as I've mentioned. But in terms of positive of COVID, it's allowed us to reassess what our service was, and make some quick wins. And for a lot of our clients going into the bubbles, it's actually helped them.
Right.
It's reduced them group sizes. It's also allowed the staff and the clients to get even more of a bond and more of a closer relationship. And that's something that we will be keeping post-COVID as well, plus the online stuff, because it's another touch point. It's an additional sort of resource that we can use to engage with these people.
Yeah.
I think what's been positive as well is we've still been able to grow services throughout the pandemic. So our adult day service it was around 245 attendees a week before COVID, but post-COVID we're now delivering to 278 attendees a week, and our outreach target support as well, which I've touched on before, that's gone from 18 to 27, which is a big increase, which is good in a selfish point of view for Active-tameside, but it's also a bit alarming, showing that there's more people struggling than we'd like to.
Absolutely. I really like the fact that you've moved on naturally to the positives, the things that will be better going forward from a COVID point of view. And it's one of the reasons I'm doing these conversations, is to try and get people to realise there are opportunities, there are things that will happen as a result of this. Do you think you'll continue to be able to reach more people because you'll have a blended offer, effectively, an online offer and an in-person offer and things like that?
We hope so.
Right.
I mean, the possibility is certainly there, and the appetite for us is certainly there as well. We've recently started an online session every week of dance, just to keep some sort of community interaction up. That come off the back of our very first virtual Christmas party, which I know Sean touched on the other day, so I don't need to go into that too much. But yeah, it's another tool to engage people, especially because coming out of the pandemic, there's going to undoubtedly be people who are socially isolated, who have not done anything apart from kind of anything that they've got to their potential. So it's going to be hard, and it's touch points to get into that face-to-face contact, albeit over a phone or an iPad.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, look, Dan, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. I said it when I spoke to Sean. It was just incredible to see the breadth of what you guys are doing and what our sector provides into the area. I think it's just fantastic. And Dan, to hear your story from a 14-year-old through to where you are now, and the development work that not only you've been able to gain, but that your customers have gained through as well. I think it's just fantastic. I'm so pleased you took the time to talk to us today. So, Dan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Bye-bye.